Now let's talk about Mom and Dad Have a Great Big Fight, which is episode 64A. And here's our other special guests, Arthur's family. This better be quick. I have to marry Moo Cow to watch. DW. Actually, she has a point. I have a casserole in the oven. Honey. Don't I have a nice family? Now let's get started. This episode starts out with my mom and dad preparing dinner in the kitchen for my dad's friends. Oh, you wouldn't believe how fast we had to work. Was it really that bad? Well, Arthur, when you don't tell someone that your friends are coming over, chances are you are going to be in a rush to make things perfect. Anyway, DW, Pal, and I entered the scene. I wanted to play Confuse the Goose with my own brother. Except I had to do homework. As we left, Mom accidentally knocked the milk carton. Then the screen froze and Nadine appeared. She was the host of this episode. Yup. Anyway, she asked the viewers if they ever imagined that spilled milk would lead to me and DW live alone. After the title card was read, Nadine resumed the scene to let the viewers see the milk carton smash. Then she rewound the episode a bit to see what DW was doing as the milk carton smashed. She was wondering why Mom and Dad had to be so fair all the time. In the imagination sequence, Mom and Dad were treating DW like she was a princess, and me like I was not their favorite. They even told me I was looking at her without smiling. Back to reality, DW was playing Confuse the Goose with Nadine when, smash! The milk was spilled all over the floor. And Mommy and Daddy started arguing and yelling at each other. I saw and heard the whole thing. Wow, I bet it was scary. Oh, it was, Buster. It was. Anyway, as I was doing homework, DW told me everything that had happened. In the imagination sequence, which is really a flashback, it showed what DW was explaining. Back to reality, I noticed the tears in her eyes. She did look scared. Can I just say something? You know we never wanted you to be scared about what was happening between us, right, DW? Yes. I know it was scary, but we're fine now. I know. Anyway, I went to check out the scene. Mom and Dad were seen cleaning out the spilled milk while they were still arguing. DW and I even blamed each other over whose fault it was. Then DW wondered what if they never speak to each other again. In another imagination sequence, DW was seen going back and forth to tell Mom and Dad what they said to each other. Back to reality, DW and I talked about how one might move away. In another imagination sequence, only Mom was seen and there was no breakfast. Dad usually makes breakfast. Back to reality, I talked about how Dad leaving is totally unacceptable. In yet another imagination sequence, Dad was seen bringing out a huge plate of food. I told him I wanted to ride to the big jamboree. The problem was, Mom took the car when she left. Back to reality, DW wondered what if neither one of them wants to take us. In yet another imagination sequence, I was with Mom and baby Kate, and Mom told me DW was with Dad and Pal. Back to reality, I went to pick up Pal. Thank goodness he was still with me. Yeah, good thing. DW. Anyway, DW worried that we might be orphans. You mean organs? No, I mean orphans. Anyway, in the imagination sequence, I asked Mr. Ratburn for some more food, but he gave me an oar instead. You know, that scene reminded me of Oliver Twist. That's what we were going for, Buster. Anyway, back to reality, DW and I talked about what it would be like to live alone. In the imagination sequence, DW, Kate, Pal, and I were seen cleaning the kitchen, except we couldn't cook. The scene then transitions to me trying to sing to Kate. DW thought it wasn't working. We missed our parents. Back to reality, though, we went downstairs to tell them that we don't want them to hate each other. Dad was just about to leave. We stopped him. We didn't want him to go. Except if I didn't go, we wouldn't have any milk. Exactly. You see, it turned out he was just going to the store. Then Mom entered the scene. She and Dad told DW that they don't hate each other and that sometimes they argue. Then Dad left the scene to buy milk. As DW and I went upstairs, Nadine appeared to tell us the moral. Don't put your milk close to the edge. Well, that's one of them. The other one is everybody argues sometimes. And that's how the episode ends. Very good, Arthur. Yes, that was very good. I've heard better. DW. Well, that's Arthur. Parents are from Pluto. Now let's talk about each episode as a whole. What did you think of Kids Are From Earth, Parents Are From Pluto, Buster? Well, Arthur, I thought that episode taught me that parents can embarrass us sometimes, but we still love them no matter what. Yeah. What about My Dad the Garbage Man? What did you think of that? Well, I thought it was pretty interesting to see each parent with their own jobs. Also, I think Francine learned that her dad has the best job in the whole world, even if he is a garbage man and not part of the FBI. What about Mom and Dad have a great big fight? What did you think of that? Well, I thought this was the most depressing episode I have ever watched. I mean, it had some arguing, and seeing you and DW alone, even though it was just an imagination sequence, was just so sad. I bet, but like I said, everyone argues sometimes. I know. I think the only funny thing was when Nadine said the moral. Speaking of which, I think she said that because if the milk wasn't placed at the edge in the first place, they wouldn't argue. But if they hadn't argued, this episode wouldn't have worked. True. Sometimes I wish for world peace. We all wish for world peace, Buster. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's all the time we have for today. I would like to thank Sue Ellen, Francine, and my family for coming on to our show. I would also like to thank Buster for helping me out with this podcast. Finally, I would like to thank you for listening. See you next time. Bye!